All right, so this is going to be a review of The Northman. It came out months ago, and I didn't get the chance to go see it. I wish I would have seen it in the theater because of certain reasons we'll get into. It's directed by Robert Eggers. I heard some people, or at least one person, say it's a masterpiece, and we'll talk more about that. So Alexander Skarsgård plays Amleth. When he was a kid, he was a prince, and his father was the king, King Arvandil, played by Ethan Hawke. He takes this oath with his father during this ritual that if his father's ever slain, that he will take revenge and avenge his father's death. And then almost like right afterward, his father gets killed by his brother, Amleth's uh, uncle, Fjolnir, played by Class Bang. He gets away and he like becomes a warrior, as he grows up and things like that. And now he's seeing these ravens around because his father was known as King Raven, and so he sees that as like his spirit guiding him to fulfill his oath to go back and kill his uncle. So that's kind of just what he's doing now. He's completely dedicated to that. I like this movie, or quite a bit of this movie. I think it's really good. But do I think it's a masterpiece? No, and we'll get to that. But the cinematography is beautiful. I mean, just gorgeous. They really, really capture the setting. The blowing of the wind, the rustling of the waves, the way the characters look, whether it be their outfits and things like that. They really, really capture the setting. It feels like you're actually there, witnessing what's going on, and it's fantastic. All the performances are great, other than maybe one. But for the most part, they're great, especially Alexander Skarsgård. I mean, the dude is a beast. I mean, dedication, that's like an understatement with this character. I mean, he's a savage. I mean, because the movie is really violent, like really violent, especially when it comes to like certain gory scenes. At a certain point, I was eating, and I think they were getting like strung up by like their large intestine or something like that. Their intestines were hanging out. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually not that hungry anymore. I was like, I guess I'm done eating. But yeah, there's a lot of that that's really good. I really liked the character and all the different things he went to. At a certain point, there's this really violent game that he plays, and I really enjoyed that scene. There's a scene between him and his mother, Queen Gundren, played by Nicole Kidman, and she's also really great in this. And I think that's probably the best scene in the movie because certain things get revealed and things like that, which made the movie a lot more interesting because a lot of it feels kind of derivative of other things, right? Where like the king is killed and the prince has to come back and avenge his death and take his place as king. We've seen that before, but it does kind of steer away from that, and I definitely got that by the time it got to that scene. It really is beautiful. There's certain scenes that are black and white, which feel really purposeful for certain moments that are happening. It really is gorgeous. Like from a technical aspect, it's it actually is a masterpiece by that token of it, whether it be the score or the dialogue, everything. It it really works. It really like, at least from what I know, captures this kind of setting, this area during this kind of time period. But all that being said, I do think that it does have some issues story wise. Before we even get to the story, Anya Taylor Joy plays Olga the the birch forest of the birch forest. She's like a witch type character. She gives a good performance, but she probably has the worst accent in this. It was kind of reminding me of New Mutants, where she was really struggling with that accent in that movie. It kind of feels like it here, where she's clearly trying to put on an accent. Everybody else is doing so good, especially Alexander Skarsgård, that whenever they get into conversations, it feels really noticeable that she's forcing that accent. Didn't work. Also, there's certain points where the main character, not that much, but the main character and other characters have long hair, and he has like a headband around him, around his head, and that shit looked fake as hell. Like that looks just like a wig, pretty much. It's just a wig. So that didn't work. It took me out of it. But those are small things. Let's get to the big things that keep me from being fully enthusiastic with it, because I still think it's really good. Uh, Certain things feel like they're not developed enough, but then at the same time, the movie is too long and feels kind of like manufactured to be that long, where this character is trying to kill this character, his uncle, and he could kill him. I mean, he's in a situation where he could at least be trying to kill him. I mean, the dude is a beast. He could probably kill him with his bare hands. But he keeps talking to these. I mean, great sequences, by the way. I mean, beautifully done. Willem Dafoe plays one of the characters he talks to and things like that. And his performance is fantastic. But he gets these like prophecies where he has to do it in a certain way and things like that. And so the movie is like a slave to those prophecies and to the fate. So even though it seems like he could do these things, he has to do them in a certain way. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me, right? He could do this. His uncle isn't even really developed to be that good of a fighter. At a certain point, I guess he was, but really wasn't. I mean, the way they killed the father, it wasn't like it was a duel or anything like that. They just killed him, shot arrows at him, jumped his ass. Uh, so he's just a dude, he seems like. But because of these certain prophecies, they tell him he has to go get a special sword made of special iron, and he has to go fight this like, well, it's like a vision or whatever. That's another thing. It's up in the air what's real and what isn't at certain points. Like there's a point where he kisses a wound on Anya Taylor Joy's neck, and he knows that she's pregnant from that. Like what the hell? So, but yeah, it's all over the place with that kind of stuff. But I mean, I guess that's just what they're going for. Like the storyline they're going for with some of the different like superstitions and things like that within people's religion and things like that. But for him to have to go sneak away and go get a sword, like what? Why? And then like at a certain point he has a sword and he's like, man, I could kill him right now, but it's like, oh no, you have to be over a lake or over something. It's like, what? There's a certain way that he has to kill him, so he can't do it. It's like, what the fuck? At a certain point, it gets so ridiculous. You expect him to like knock him out and grab him and then bring him over to a lake or bring him over to some other place so that he can kill him. Now, you're dealing with a lot of fate in here and like whether he can fight fate or whatever. You can't fight your fate and things. But it feels manufactured by the screenwriters. Like that's what it feels like to me when I'm watching it. Because this movie could have easily been an hour and a half, but instead it's over 2 hours. So I have to see him sneaking around and doing all this other stuff, which is well done, but at any point, I keep looking at him like, we could end this. Why are we still sitting around? I mean, why are we still doing this? Why is he, stringing certain people up, killing them, stuff like that, and certain things that have to do with sacrifices and the uncles, other kids and things like that. And it's like, it feels kind of pointless that we're doing all this when we don't really need to, but the story is forcing it to happen. I mean, along with that thing going on, the movie has us invested in him taking on his uncle, killing his uncle, avenging his father. But his uncle doesn't have much of a character. They don't really focus on him that much. I mean, he's very into his religion, almost, I mean, to a fault. But that's kind of it. I mean, Nicole Kidman was a much more interesting character than the uncle was. But regardless, the movie is truly, truly a masterpiece when it comes to its cinematography, when it comes to the visuals and really all that, and the performances for the most part too. But that story, you really needed to work on this, the writing of this story to really make it work. And obviously there are certain themes, and I think some were done well, some were not all that done all that well. And by the end of it, I'm like, yeah, it was really good. I still think it was really good because it has all these aspects that really work for it, but it's not rewatchable. Maybe I'd have it on in the background because it just looks so good. But as far as rewatching it, it's too frustrating because of the length and because of how much it just feels like it's like we gotta keep this going. We gotta keep this going. So whatever. I couldn't quite give it my highest rating. I'll give it a just awesome instead. Uh, like I said, got a lot of great aspects to it, but at the end of the day, that story is still very important, and I don't think they fully achieved what they were going for with that. But anyway, that's the Northman, and we're done.